Let's get started. Let's come to Tadasana at the top of our mat with our hips squared, our legs together, our kneecaps lifted, our thighs moving close to each other, our feet together, grounded, with active toes pointing in front, our spine lifted from the base, long, our back and front broad and slightly lifted up, our palms facing in, our fingers away, pointed down, our arms naturally by the side of our hips, a bit away from our torso, our inner elbows facing in, our chest and rib cage broad and slightly lifted upwards, our chin in line with our chest. As we get ready for Ardha Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and bring our legs back and stretch our arms in front of us, with our arms lengthened to the floor, active elbows, palms grounded, fingers active and wide apart, our legs lengthened upwards, our kneecaps lifted, our feet parallel and grounded, pushing our arches of our feet, our toes active and wide apart, our hips internally rotated, forward bent, our sit bones engaged and lifted up, our shoulders engaged and away from our ears, our neck long and lengthening towards the floor, our chest and rib cage broad and wide, our chest facing the ground, our head aligned with our shoulders reaching the floor. Let's go ahead and bring our right ankle to our left knee and hold it here as we bend our left leg, breathing in and breathing out, beginning to align our breath with our movement. Inhaling on the expansion and exhaling on the contractions. We'll go ahead and bring the right leg down as we bring our left ankle to our right knee. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. And on our next exhale, go ahead and place that foot back down as we bring our left hand to our right ankle, twisting at our torso. Breathing in and breathing out, really feeling a stretch. As we breathe in, and on our next exhale, finding ourselves back in downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and bring our right hand to our left ankle, bending here. As we breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll find ourselves in Balasana, child's pose, with our shoulders towards the floor, away from our ears, our chest lying on our thighs, our ankles beneath us, our knees engaged and bent together, our toes resting, our hips internally rotated, our sit bones resting on our heels, our hip flexors, core, and pelvic floor engaged, our arms soft by our side, in front of our forehead, or in front of us, our chest and rib cage broad and resting on our thighs, our neck long and lengthened forward with our chin to the floor. From here, we'll come back into downward facing dog as we breathe in and breathe out, Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and take our right ankle and bring it behind our left ankle, feeling a stretch in our thighs. As we continue to hold it, we'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and switch our legs as we breathe in and breathe out, finding a stretch that feels good. And from here, we'll go ahead and bring our elbows down and bring our left leg up. Notice how her elbows are bent and her leg is lifted off the ground. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Go ahead and come back into downward facing dog as you bring your leg back down, grounding it. We'll go ahead and lift the other leg as we bring our elbows back down, holding it here as we breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, and on our next exhale, find ourselves in downward facing dog with our spine lifted from the base, lengthening down, our back active and broad, our hips internally rotated, our shoulders engaged, our arms lengthening to the floor, our hamstrings, hip flexors, pelvic floor, psoas muscles all engaged, and our navel pulled in to support our back. We'll now come into Uttan Shishwasana, which is puppy dog pose. We keep our legs together, bent, our knees grounded, our front toes resting, our chest and ribcage broad, pulling to the ground, our chin resting on the floor, our palms and fingers facing down, grounded, our arms long and away from our ears, our forearms grounded and parallel, our spine lengthening from the base, forwardly bent, our hips flexed and lifted as high above our knees as we can, our gaze down, and our breath exhaling to lift our hips higher. From here, we'll come into downward facing dog as we quickly exhale and come into three-legged dog, rising our right leg. We'll go ahead and bend it and begin to draw circles with our knee, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll go ahead and place that leg back down as we lift our left leg up, holding it here as we breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and bend the knee and begin to draw circles with it. Going the opposite way, really feeling our hip joints. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. As we come back into puppy dog pose, go ahead and rest here. As we take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. We'll go ahead and inhale as we lift the head and bring our right arm towards the right side. On an exhale, we'll bring your left cheek to rest on the mat as you look forward and to the right. On an inhale, we'll twist the shoulders and chest towards the right side. And on an exhale, we'll go ahead and try to raise the arm up. This is a great twist to help clear unwanted energy along the channels of your upper spine. Go ahead and hold it here as we breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and grab our right leg as we hold it here, resting on our left shoulder. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll go ahead and reset as we come back into puppy dog pose with our hands in front of us as we breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and inhale and lift the head and bring our right arm towards the left side. On an exhale, we'll bring your right cheek to rest on the mat as you look towards the left side. And on an inhale, twist the shoulders and chest towards the left. And on an exhale, go ahead and raise the left arm up. As we breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. On your next exhale, go ahead and grab your left leg and hold it here. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. On your next exhale, go ahead and come into Verbanasana, tabletop pose. As you bring your arms to the ground, long, shoulder width apart, away from your ears, your upper arm lifted upwards, your inner elbows facing in, your hands and fingers grounded, with strong wrists, your fingers wide and pointed straight. As your legs are bent, your hip width distance apart, your knees are grounded, your feet and toes are in line with your knees, with an active arch, your front foot resting, and your toes active together. Your back and front are broad and parallel to the floor and lengthening forward, with your spine parallel to the floor, lengthening forward. Your chin tucked in a bit, and your gaze is down as you softly inhale and exhale. We'll go ahead and raise your knees up a bit, a few inches off the ground, as we hold it here. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll go ahead and bend at the hips, bring your chest to our knees, swaying from side to side. And opposite, we'll bring our chest to the right as we bring our knees to the left, and then bring our chest to the left as we bring our knees to the right, keeping our hands straight in front. We'll go ahead and sway from side to side, coming from one corner of the mat to the other. As we breathe in and breathe out, you have the option here to add a slight hop. If your practice allows, you can hop from side to side, from one side of your mat to the next. Or you can hold it here as you sway from side to side. We'll come to a resting pose, to puppy dog pose. Go ahead and rest here. Really bring your hips up. And from here, we'll go ahead and dip our left shoulder down as we bring our right shoulder up, gazing to the right. And then we'll go ahead and dip our right shoulder down, opening up our left shoulder. As we breathe in, and on our next exhale, we'll come up and rise to Utkatasana at the top of our mat, with our arms lengthened upwards, parallel, inner elbows and palms facing each other, our fingers pointed up, our hips engaged and internally rotated, our spine lifted from the base, lengthening upward, our feet actively arched and grounded together, our knees engaged and bent towards our toes, really drawing our hips back, pulling our navel in and up to support our back. We'll go ahead and engage our quadriceps, our hip flexors, our glutes, and our pelvic floor. As we come into revolved chair pose, we'll go ahead and bring our hands to heart center and bring our one elbow to our knees. We'll go ahead and hold it here with our hips engaged, again internally rotated, our feet grounded, our knees engaged, our chest and ribcage broad and lifted in a twist, our arms bent in a twist again, palms pressed against each other, elbows out, one elbow resting against the knee, our spine lifted from the base, lengthening upwards, again in a twist. Our glutes, our pelvic floor, our core, all engaged as our neck is long in front, lengthening upwards, twisted. Our chin is away from our chest, and our head is twisted. From here, we'll open up our hands and really keep our shoulders straight, stacked one above the other, gazing up. We'll go ahead and come into a revolved lunge as we bring our right foot forward and our left foot back. We're going to hold it here as we get ready to come into Warrior Two, really drawing our shoulders away from our ears, keeping it down, straight ahead and behind us. Our front foot parallel to the long end of the mat, and our back foot parallel to the short end of the mat. We'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out as we come into an extended side angle pose by resting our forward hand on our knee and lifting our back hand above our head, gazing to the back. We'll come into a reverse warrior pose by bringing our back hand to our long leg and lifting our forward hand above our head, gazing up. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. As we get ready to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose, we'll go ahead and bring our hands straight, our shoulders stacked, as we lift our back leg up. We'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. And on our next exhale, come into Warrior 3 as we bring our hands above our head. Our chest and ribcage broaden forward, parallel to the floor, in line with our hips. Our hips are in line with our feet. Our legs are lifted and extended and in line with our feet in the back, with active thighs and kneecaps pointed down, while our grounded foot is long and active, with our kneecap lifted, bearing the weight of our body. Our back leg is actively arched and our toes are pointed down, as the grounded toes are active and facing forward. Our spine is parallel to the floor, and our abdomen, hamstrings, and glutes are all engaged. Our gaze is down. We're going to bring our back leg down as we come into Warrior 1. Here our arms are going to be away from our ears, lengthened, our inner elbows facing each other, our palms in, fingers together, pointed up. Our spine is upward and straight. Our back and front are both lifted upwards. And you want to really make sure you're not folding forward here. You want to go ahead and keep your back straight, your shoulders away from your ears, your shoulder blades together, your hips extensioned and squared, and internally rotated. Your back leg will be extended back as your front leg is grounded. You'll go ahead and gaze up, and from here we'll bring ourselves into a humble warrior as we bring our chest to our thigh and bend forward, keeping our hands in front, holding it here as we breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and bring our back leg forward as we come into Utkatasana. And from here, we'll come into Tadasana as we rest, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll come back into Utkatasana with our chest and ribcage broad and lifted, our shoulders engaged and lifted upwards, our hips internally rotated, our feet arched and grounded, our arms parallel with our inner elbows and palms facing each other, and our fingers pointed up, our gaze softly looking up as we inhale and exhale naturally. We'll go ahead and come into a twisted chair pose. As your palms press against each other, our elbows out, one elbow resting against the knee, the opposite knee as before. We'll go ahead and have our hips engaged and internally rotated with a gentle twist. Our spine will be lifted from the base, lengthening upwards, twisted. We'll go ahead and gaze up softly and exhale deeply as we come deeper into our twist. We'll go ahead and extend our hands out as we stay in a seated position, and slowly bring the other leg back as we gaze up. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll go ahead and come into Warrior Two. As we breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. We'll find ourselves in an extended side angle pose as we bring our front hand to rest on our knee and our back hand over our head, gazing back. We'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and bring our back hand to our long leg and our hand above our head as we come into reverse warrior. Our shoulders broad and our scapula towards each other. Our arm rolled back away from our ears with our left hand extended. We'll go ahead and have our pelvic floor, quads, psoas muscles, glutes, and core all engaged, with our front and back broad, lifted upwards, laterally stretching to the right. Our spine lifted from the base, long and laterally stretching. Our arms active and away from our ears, one arm reaching the calf, with the other arm palms facing down, fingers together and above our head. We'll go ahead and inhale as we come into our lateral stretch, keeping your hips externally rotated and squared. From here, we'll come into half moon pose. Bring your hands straight, one hand grounded, the other above our head, with our leg straight behind us. As we gaze up, we'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. From here, we'll go ahead and bring our hands above our head. As we come into Warrior Three, we'll go ahead and have our shoulders broad and away from our ears, our scapulas together. Our back leg lifted, extended in line with our hips, with active thighs. Our kneecaps pointing down, as our grounded leg has our kneecaps lifted up, bearing the weight. Our abdomen, our hamstrings, our quads, and our hip flexors all engaged, with our front and back broad and actively forward, bent parallel to the floor. We'll go ahead and breathe softly to remain in balance. And from here, we'll come into a humble warrior as we bring our chest to our forward knee. Bring your hands above our head and placing the back leg down. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. As we come into Utkatasana, we'll go ahead and draw our hips back. Shine our chest forward as we breathe in and breathe out. We'll come into Uttanasana as we bend forward at the hips. And go ahead and hug our knees into our nose and sway from side to side. Breathing in breathing out, we'll come into Ardha Uttanasana as we bring our back parallel to the mat. Breathing in. On our next exhale, we'll come into plank pose. Checking our alignment. Keeping our shoulders in front of our wrists and in line with our hands. We'll go ahead and dip down into Chaturanga on our next exhale. Holding it here, making sure that there's enough space between our stomach and the floor as we rise up into upward facing dog. We'll go ahead and make sure not to hyperextend our wrists as we shine our heart forward. We'll go ahead and exhale as we come into downward facing dog. Here we'll go ahead and play out our toes and our feet from side to side. We'll really stretch out here as we come into Ardha Uttanasana. And back into a forward fold, Uttanasana. From here, we'll slowly stack one vertebrae at a time. As we come up, we'll bring our hands up above our head, palms facing each other as we bend back into Utthita Tadasana. And we'll go ahead and sway from side to side, hinging at the hips, breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out, breathing in, and on our next exhale, come into a forward fold as we breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and step 1 foot forward into a low lunge. Bring your hands above our head, bending back as we shine our heart forward, breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. We'll go ahead and exhale as we come into plank pose. We'll hold it here as we breathe in and breathe out, breathe in. On our next exhale, we'll go ahead and come into 8 limb pose as we bring our knees down and our chest down while keeping our hips raised. Gazing down with our elbows bent, our toes tucked in. We'll go ahead and hold it here, really noticing her posture and her bend. This is what we're looking for here. We'll go ahead and come up to upward facing dog. And on our next exhale, we'll come into downward facing dog. We'll go ahead and play out our toes and our legs, stretching out as we get ready to come into a low lunge on the other side. We'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out, balancing out our body, bending back. We'll go ahead and bring our feet together as we come into a forward fold, bending down, swaying from side to side. We'll again stack one vertebrae at a time as we slowly bring our hands up and back down to heart center. We'll go ahead and again sweep our hands up as we come into Utkatasana, and exhale as we come into forward fold. Inhale as we come into halfway fold. Exhale as we come into Chaturanga. Inhale as we come into upward facing dog. Exhale as we come into downward facing dog. Inhale as we come into warrior one. Exhale as we come into Chaturanga. Inhale as we come into upward facing dog. Exhale as we come into downward facing dog. Inhale as we come into warrior one. Exhale as we come into Chaturanga. Inhale as we come into upward facing dog. Exhale as we come into downward facing dog. Inhale as we come into halfway fold. Exhale as we come into full fold. Inhale as we rise up and come into Utkatasana. Go ahead and hold it here as we breathe in and breathe out, really drawing our shoulders back. Bring your scapulas together. We'll go ahead and come into a child's pose. As we bend back, bring your chest to our thighs, our arms in front of us. We'll go ahead and sway our arms from our left to the center. And back to the right. From here, we'll bring our left hand to hug our right hip as we bring our right hand under our upper body, reaching the left side. We'll go ahead and hold it here in this pose as we breathe in and breathe out. As we breathe in and breathe out, we'll go ahead and bring both hands in front of us as we come back into a wide child's pose, spreading out our knees if we haven't already. Now we'll go ahead and bring our right hand to hug our left hip and bring our left hand under our body as we gaze to the right. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and come back to center as we bring our hands above our head, resting in a wide child's pose. We'll go ahead and begin to press through the right hand as we roll into the left shoulder, moving into our reverse spinal twist. We'll go ahead and stack the right leg on top of the left, or to deepen the stretch, gently bring the right foot to the ground behind you. Keep your arms stationary. Go ahead and hold it here as you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Go ahead and come into a lotus pose with your hands out in front of you and your legs straight behind you. Resting here, you have the option to bring your hands to your forehead, gazing down at the mat. Go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. We'll go ahead and twist at the hips here. Go ahead and bring your two legs apart as you bring one hand to the mat and the other hand lying flat. We'll go ahead and twist here, holding it here. Breathing in and breathing out. Really feeling your lower back, your middle back, and your upper back stretching. As we breathe in and breathe out, go ahead and now twist and come lying on your back, bringing your arms to either your stomach or your heart, one in each location. As you breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. 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 Focusing on that Ujjayi breath, constricting your throat. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and come into Tadasana at the top of our mat. As we get ready to finish class, we'll go ahead and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out.